Directly or through the microphone? All right. We should start with a short prayer. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness unto light, lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. So this is a classic Vedic Shanti mantra, a mantra chanted for peace, for managing anxiety and stress. That's the subject we are going to speak about today. So it's very appropriate to begin with the Vedic Shanti mantra. Yeah, I do have a bottle of water there, so there's no problem. It's a pleasure and a privilege to be here this afternoon with all of you. And we thank the Center for Conscious Living for sharing this beautiful place. It's a rainy evening, but not gloomy. I mean, it's calm and serene. And I really enjoyed the fall colors while driving here from Pittsburgh, to Cleveland. Wonderful, beautiful. The subject we have set today before us is how do you manage stress? How do you beat stress, but from a Vedanta perspective? Stress, as the doctors, there are a number of doctors present here. I need not talk too much about stress because the doctors have a professional and personal interest in stress because they are the ones who help us manage stress, and they are the ones who are often very stressed out. But the doctors will tell us that the human body, the human animal, any animal in fact, has a flight or fight mechanism, flight or fight reaction. When we are faced with something threatening, some kind of pressure, we tend to either fight the situation or we flee from the situation. So there's a dog. Suppose it finds somebody or something threatening. The dog will either stand with hackles up and growl at you or bark at you, or if it's scared, if you are scary enough, the dog will run away. And we have something like that. But the problem is, in modern life, often we cannot use either of them. You can't fight it, you cannot run away from it also. Suppose you are caught in traffic, not like traffic here in LA, for example. So I think they have been voted the worst traffic in the country for the third year running or something like that. And everybody says the traffic is so terrible. Now, having just come out from Calcutta, I go along with them, I play along with them, I say, yeah, it's terrible. But I know Calcutta is worse than LA. Now suppose you're caught in traffic and you're barely moving or not moving at all. And then what happens is, you can't fight. Whom are you going to fight against? There are incidents of road rage. They call it road rage, becoming angry and hitting somebody or something. But you can't do that. You will the cops will come and get you. And you can't flee. Of course you cannot flee. That's the whole idea of a traffic jam. That you can't go anywhere. You're caught. So what happens is, there is stress, but you cannot release it through the fight or flight mechanisms. You cannot do either of them. And it just builds up within you. It builds up within us. And that has lots of deleterious effects on the body and on the mind. So stress is a major killer. Probably one of the biggest causes of cause of psychosomatic diseases. And I don't have the figures now. At one time I did. I used to give these talks to corporate bodies in India. So I collected figures, but probably by now the figures are out of date. And they're probably worse now. So how many billions of dollars in damages, medical and whatnot, are spent in the United States alone for stress and stress-related problems. And there is a vast literature on how to manage stress. So I'm not going to give a global talk on how to manage stress. It's not my specialty anyway. What I'm going to do is, I'll come at it from one angle. the angle of Vedanta. And that I think is worth talking about. Most people don't know much about it, and most people, there are either traditional Vedanta teachers who teach Vedanta but do not show how you can apply it to managing stress in life, anxiety in life. So today we are going to do that. We are going to get this mass of traditional knowledge and bring it to bear on a very modern, very 21st century problem, managing anxiety, fear, stress. So that's what we are going to do in the hour or so ahead of us. Now, I'll give a talk. At any time you can stop me and raise your hand and ask a question or give a comment. If it's a brief question or comment. If you want to discuss more in detail, wait for the question answer session which will follow after the talk. So you're free to do both. You can ask during the talk. If it's a detailed answer that you want, or it's a broad subject, then I advise you wait for the question answer session. So let's go into it. I'm going to talk about this at 5 levels. So the talk is structured in this way, 5 levels. Each level is deeper. We'll see in what sense it's deeper. It's more deeper, it's more profound than the preceding level. So we'll start at one level and go into the second, third, fourth and final 5th levels. And all of them can be combined and should be combined. So let's start at the beginning. Level 1. So level 1 Can you read at the back? Yes. Level 1 is at the level of senses, sensory inputs. One of the things we learn in Vedanta is how to manage what we are taking in from the world. In one of the Upanishads we know are the core texts of Vedanta. In one of the Upanishads it is said, Ahara Shuddho Sattva Shuddhi. I'll keep giving you the Sanskrit once in a while and I'll translate. The mind is purified, the mind is pacified. Stress, you can manage stress by managing what they call ahara. It's an interesting Sanskrit word. It literally means what you take in from outside. The word means taking in from outside. Ariyante. From means samantat, from all directions, from all sides, in all aspects, what we take into our system. One of the meanings of ahara in Indian languages is food. So what is out there is ahara, it's food, because we take it in from the environment. But in the commentary on this Upanishad written by Shankaracharya, he says, ahara is what we take in through the senses. So what we are seeing is ahara, we're taking it in. Where? From the environment, through the eyes, into the mind. Environment, through the eyes, into the mind. Ahara. What we hear, people are talking, we hear. From the environment, through the ears, into the mind. That's ahara. These two are primary. Seeing and hearing. But also tasting. Also smelling and also touching. So the 5 senses, visual, what you see, auditory, what we hear, and also the senses of smell, of touch, and the sense of taste. So 5 senses, but mainly what we see and what we hear, these have a great effect on the mind. You see, we would never dream of going to the trash can and picking up discarded food items and rotting food items and putting it in our mouth. Very thought is revolting. If we do that, it will upset our stomachs in no time at all. But we indiscriminately take in stuff from the world, inputs from the world, from TV, from the media, from the internet, from people, from what we look around, what we see in the world outside. We're continuously dumping stuff from the world indiscriminately. From the dining table and from the trash can into the mind. No wonder the mind is upset. No wonder the mind is stressed out. Come. You've just started. There are seats here. What we hear, I remember, especially we are very interested in what people are saying about us, both good and bad. I remember once as a young monk in Deoghar, Ramakrishna Mission Deoghar, where I became a brahmachari, where I joined the order in 1994. A very senior monk, I was walking with him, and we usually would take a particular path in the ashram for our walks. And there were students who stayed in that ashram. That particular evening, the senior monk told me, today we will not walk by this path, let's go by this path. I said, why? Because you see, those boys are standing there, they are talking about me. And because they are talking about me, I don't want to go by that path. I want to go by this path. He didn't explain. That's all he said, that because they are talking about us, about me. Now our normal tendency is, what are they saying about me? Let me hear. If it's good, it's great. I would like to hear. If it's bad, I just want to hear. What are they criticizing? I do not want to hear. That's what I do not want to take into my mind. You see the principle involved here. There you are actually filtering input. You're filtering input. Take in the good, the positive, the nourishing, and filter out the bad, the negative, and that which is destructive to the body-mind system. Why would you take it in any way? You don't want to take in rotten food, why would you take in a rotten comment about yourself? We normally do not think in that way. So, a sensory filter is set up. Ahara Shuddhi, purifying what we take in from the world. A question may come here, a doubt. Aren't you being escapist? There is a good and the bad in the world, and aren't you sort of avoiding being escapist, not looking at the bad, just trying to look at the good? Isn't it escapism? Sri Ramakrishna used to say, the honeybee, it sits only on the flower. And the common fly, it sits on filth as well as on sweets in the shop. Luckily it doesn't do that here. In India it's a common problem. So, now what kind of mind would you want? After all, we have certain goals in life. There may be worldly goals, there may be spiritual goals. Now the aim is to attain those goals with whatever resources I've got, body and mind. I don't need to take in every nasty thing from the world just because it's there. Just because it's there, do I have to go and sit there? No. I need to take in that which is useful to me and that which is good for me. Just like I take in a healthy, a nice diet. In the same way, Ahara Shuddhi. Ahara Shuddho, Sattva Shuddhi. The mind becomes calm. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, we would visit some devotee's house, and if he saw pictures of gods and goddesses, he said, that's good. That's good. If you have religious, some people have religious icons, or at the very least, beautiful scenery, natural scenery in the house. You may not know it. Unknowingly, these things go into our mind. Without at all knowing it, it calms us down. In the background, it keeps running. So, let us be careful. If we want to manage stress, the first thing is manage what we are dumping into the mind. If you are not careful, all the succeeding steps will work only partially at best. If you disturb the system from the very beginning, after that if you try to put it right through meditation or whatnot, it will work only partially. So let's be careful about what we read and what we see on the TV or on the internet, what we choose to see in the world outside. The gentleman was just telling me how our decisions are affected by a certain bias, what is continuously available to us, what is being presented to us continuously. Our worldview gets changed by that. So the media continuously bombards us with negative images, negative ideas, which may be true, but they're presenting a partial view. There are a lot of other good things which they are not presenting because they're not newsworthy. But what happens is, that partial view begins to have an outsized weightage in our worldview. So, what we take into the senses, ahara, is extremely important, yes.
So you're telling that we should not be bothered by other people's comments in our
Yes,
life.
yes.
But how to practice that? Because one cannot, I cannot be, I cannot be a monk to practice that.
True,
how to
true.
practice not to be bothered by other people's comments in
True.
our life?
True. Now, thank you. The thing is, you don't have to be a monk to follow all this. In fact, most of these are not meant for monks. Monks already have a very controlled environment. In a monastery, you would have to work very hard to be disturbed. If you are stressed out in a monastery, then there's something seriously wrong with your monastic life. So, these techniques are meant for helping people in whatever field they are. Remember, where was the Bhagavad Gita taught? Which monastery? Which center for conscious living? It was taught on the battlefield of life. Most stressful environment. A most stressful environment. So, first of all, it is meant for helping people in the midst of life. These techniques which we are talking about. So, managing our sensory input is something that we all need to do for our own peace of mind. Now, not being bothered. First thing is, watch the impulse within. Why do I want to listen to what that person is saying about me? If I want feedback, I'll go to a person I trust and tell me what you think about me, what am I doing right and what am I doing wrong. Finished. Anybody and everybody, what feedback they give, why should I take it? I was just joking that somebody was criticizing me or something, that some such topic came up. I said, they have all right to criticize me. I have criticized other people earlier, and I know I did not mean anything very serious by it. I know these people also don't mean anything very serious by it. Today they are criticizing, tomorrow they may praise, day after tomorrow again criticize. It is not important. So before I will not be bothered by other people's comments about me. Before going to that state, take a step back and see, why should I bother? What is it within me that reacts to other people's comments? Why do I depend on other people's judgments? I don't depend on other people's judgments. My own judgments about other people, how weighty are they? How profound and how deep are they? Not very profound and deep. Other people's judgments also about me are like that. People they're not cautious, they just pass some comment. They don't do it all that seriously either. We take it much more seriously than we should. We get much more affected. The person who says a hurtful thing does not have so much desire to hurt you. Just said something. But we are sensitive to it and we get very hurt and we cannot forgive it. So one thing is, we should be careful about what we say about others. We should be careful about what we say about others. We should let us be very gentle and very caring and very respectful about others. Because words can hurt. And that hurt people remember. As a people who are quarreling. And so be careful of what you say, because the other person will remember it for years and years together. What you say now. So let's not say such things. And let's also not take it too seriously. Another thing I'll tell you, it may sound bad. Most people are not interested in your life. Everybody is busy with his or her own problems. And in passing, like ships passing each other in the ocean in the darkness, you see each other for some time and make some light comment or something. We are not aware of that person's situation, nor of the background. Not to understand a person, you must stand in his or her shoes and in that life, and then make a comment. How many of us are able to empathize like that? So don't take other people's comments too seriously. Think like that, right? So yeah. So ahara shuddho sattva shuddhi. Manage the sensory inputs. Now let's go to level 2. This level of karma. Our work, what we do in life. You can still hear me? Is the microphone all right? So what we do in life. There are two things to keep in mind here. One is moral. Another one is unselfish. The first thing about our actions, our day-to-day life is, if we want to be free of anxiety, one thing necessary for an anxiety-free life is a clean life. As far as possible, let us not have anything on our conscience. What I know to be wrong, I clearly know to be wrong, let me reduce that in life. Let me, as far as possible, eliminate that in life. Otherwise, it's very difficult to have a spiritual life, an anxiety-free life. If my own conscience is pricking me, I am doing what I know to be wrong. I know to be wrong means I don't want to do it. And yet I am doing it. What happens is I'm setting up a deep conflict within me. One part of it is saying that what I've done is wrong, other part of it wants to do it. This is the problem. And that definitely will lead to stress, to anxiety. So, according to our own standards, there's a beautiful saying which I like. Somebody asked, you talk about moral laws, law of honesty. But how are you calling it a law? A law like gravity can be broken. Cannot be broken. You cannot break the law of gravity. But if you see law of honesty, you can be broken. You tell a lie, you have broken the law of honesty. So why are you calling it a law? And somebody answered beautifully, these moral laws, you cannot break them. You can only break yourself against them. You cannot break them. You can only break yourself. The more we break these laws, internally we are disintegrating. You see, the word for morality in Sanskrit is dharma. And the Sanskrit root dhri, from which the word is derived, it means to hold together. Dharma comes from the root dhri, it means to hold together. So morality is something that holds us together, that integrates the personality. If we keep doing things which are immoral, it begins to disintegrate the personality. And one source is definitely stress. One effect will be stress. We will be anxious and unhappy. So, moral life. What is moral life? We know basically what is morality. Basic morality, honesty. As far as possible, within us we must be straight, aligned, honest. Another thing is self-control. Another thing is a little bit of unselfishness, which we will come to later on. So a moral life is useful for spirituality. It is absolutely fundamental for a spiritual life, or a peaceful life. There's this funny story about a person who went to learn yoga, meditation. And he went to this yoga teacher. Ashtanga yoga, not the Hatha Yoga Ashtanga, the Patanjali Ashtanga yoga, where you have yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. 8 steps or 8 limbs of yoga. Now the first 2 limbs are morality. Yama means a set of restrictions, don't do these things. Niyama means a set of practices, do these things. Now this person went to a yoga teacher, Dhyan sikhaiye, please teach me meditation. And the yoga teacher said, alright, first you must tell the truth. You must not steal, you must be honest. This person got bored. He said, all these things I know, please go ahead. These things, I know these things. We read it in kindergarten school, So let's just go to the next stage. Teach me asana, how to sit. Teach me breathing. Teach me meditation, dhyan. The person said, yama and niyama, they are the first 2 limbs. Anga in Sanskrit means limb. So he says in Hindi, it works best in Hindi. He said, आप अष्टांग योग सीखेंगे या विकलांग योग सीखेंगे? Now that has to be translated. 8 limbs, ashtanga, 8 limbs. And if you leave 2 of the limbs away, so do you want ashtanga 8-limbed yoga or a handicapped? Without 2 limbs, without restraint and morality. So do you want that? Which means the yoga teacher tells this person, black money par asan bichha ke dhyan hoga. You're corrupt. You steal money, you have undeclared income. Now you put that money under your bed, hide that and put a prayer mat on top of it and sit and meditate. Can you meditate? You cannot meditate. Meditation is a very subtle thing. When you go into meditate, immediately you will come up against that. That it will come up much more strongly. In day-to-day life, we can cover up immorality. We get busy with life. It will still be there. In fact, Freudian psychoanalysts and all, they know that there are unresolved complexes behind many psychosomatic diseases. we just paper over the cracks. But in meditation, you cannot paper over the cracks. When you sit down to meditate, it will come up. The first thing that will come up, have I hurt somebody? Somebody is angry with me, somebody is disappointed with me, I have a quarrel with somebody. That will first come up before I can start meditation. In the Bible it's there that that Jesus Christ says that if you are taking any gift to God, and if you have something against somebody else, some accounts to settle with somebody else, to leave your gifts there, go out and settle your business with your fellow man, then come back and offer the gift to God. What does it mean? If I have unresolved issues with people, spirituality will not work. To some extent, life must be clean. So that's morality. Moral action. I must not do anything that I know to be immoral. If I have done it, then offer it at the feet of God, say I will not do it anymore. If it's an action, if it is some hurtful word, all of these things, say I am sorry, I will not do it. This AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, one of the things it seems they say is that one of the things for recovery is, first of all, when a person is an alcoholic, has done many bad things means which they feel bad about afterwards, you should go back and say sorry to those persons and try to compensate if it's possible at all, or at least say sorry. Then only you will allow yourself to recover. Otherwise that guilty feeling will be there which will pull you down. Very interesting though, there's a relationship between the AA and Vedanta Society, Southern California. Bill Wilson, I think, the founder of AA, he used to visit Gerard Hurd, who set up the Trabuco monastery there. And when he was thinking of setting up the AA, he went there with his plan and they discussed Vedanta principles, how to incorporate spirituality for people who are recovering from addiction. So there is some story, and of course he explored other traditions also, Bill Wilson, but he was a regular visitor. There is a book which was published recently which has given this history. Anyway, now, not just moral action, but the next step is, usually we use action for our own benefit. I am earning money for myself and my family. But one thing which is helpful is unselfish action. Can I do altruistic action? For the benefit of others. Yesterday in a meeting I was mentioning in CMU how Professor Seligman, one of the professors of positive psychology, he demonstrated how altruistic action is helpful for your own peace of mind. In a classroom, once he said, today we will not have a class, we shall go for a movie. And students were very happy. Let's go for the movie. And they went for the movie. After they came back, the professor gave a questionnaire. Rate your satisfaction with the movie. 1 to 4. 1 to 5. 1 not at all satisfied, 5 very satisfied. And they gave some rating. Next week, again he said, today again we will not have a class. And we are going out to this part of the town where there are poor people. And we are taking gifts, clothes, things for the poor, toys for the children. We'll make friends with the children. And we'll spend an afternoon with the children. And they did that. When they came back, again the questionnaire, rate your satisfaction with this activity, 1 to 5. And they gave some rating. The real thing happened 6 months later when the student, suddenly the professor gave the questionnaire again in the middle of the class. Think back, 6 months ago, one day we had gone to a movie. Now, today, 6 months later, how much satisfaction do you feel from that movie? Some of them gave 1, 2, some of them said, what was the name of the movie? We went, I remember we went to a movie. They have forgotten. And the satisfaction is diminished. Those who had given 4, maybe they gave 2 or 1. Next question was, remember we had gone and made friends with those children and given them gifts and spent an afternoon with them. Today when you think back upon that, how much satisfaction do you get out of it? And they all gave more or less the same thing, 3 or 4 or 5, showing that the satisfaction that they got from helping other people, making friends with other people, helping them, 6 months later also same amount of satisfaction you're getting when you think about it. In fact, when we look back upon our lives, one thing we never regret in our life is helping others. Is helping others. Think anything that we have done for others. You've given money for a good cause, you have been kind to a person, said a few nice words to this person, given your time and effort for an NGO, whatever. When we look back upon it, at least our own action that we gave, some people say, no, I was annoyed, they did not use it properly, or they were not grateful. They were not grateful, they did not use it properly, it may be so, but that I gave, that's always, permanently till the end of our lives, is a source of satisfaction for us. So, unselfishness, unselfish action, altruistic action contributes to peace of mind. Selfish action generates stress. Many people don't know this. You see, a person who is playing a game, in India example would be cricket, here it's baseball, with an eye on the scoreboard, is under stress. And the same person playing a casual game in the backyard is enjoying the game. When you are looking for a personal goal or something, where your own ambition is involved, stress is generated automatically. Where my own ambition is not involved, I can do an enormous amount of work without any stress. Where love is involved, you see a housekeeper doing the same work and a mother doing the same work for her child. There's a big difference. Right. Housekeeper is doing it for a few dollars and the mother is doing it for no dollars at all. Would be very amused if you offer her and if the baby gives some paychecks to her mother. No, she'll be amused. But she does all of that better because love is involved. Unselfish love is involved. Out of love comes unselfishness. So I am doing something for others because I love them. Sometimes people ask, and I myself was taken aback when I first became a monk in one of our ashrams in India. It's a school for children, for little boys. And I had always thought, when I become a monk, what will they ask me to do? I have to do meditation, I have to read the Gita, and I have to do puja and things like that. First thing they said was, here is a hostel. 40 boys are there, 11-year-old kids. Go and look after them. I thought, if I had not been a monk, if I had gotten married, I might have had 1 or 2 kids. Now 40 kids. I have to look after 40 kids. But you know what? I've seen monks do a tremendous amount of work, often much more work than people are doing in the world itself. But they do it so easily. One reason is the personal little self is not involved. I'm doing it as a worship of God in all these people. Whether it's patients, whether it's students, whatever it is. So there is no stress involved in it. Or at least much less stress involved in it. Much less stress. That amount of detachment comes when there is that unselfishness is there. The crucial factor is nishkama. Nishkama means not that there is no desire. There is no personal angle involved. I once asked a person, a very senior monk, the typical question which should come is, if I don't have a personal motive, why should I work? If I don't have a personal motive, so a mother works for a child because it's her child. There is still a personal motive. If I don't have any personal motive, then where is the motive for working? Let alone working perfectly. So I asked this question to a very senior monk, Swami Ananyananda, he was passed away now. One day he was going to the Arati in Delhi Ashram. He had some knee problems, so I had to hold him and take him there. I asked him the question, how can one work without any motive? Without any personal interest, how can one work? He didn't say anything at that time. After the Arati evening vespers, when he was going back to his room, I was taking him back to his room, he looked at me and he said, just before entering his room, disinterested work, my boy, not uninterested work. In English, you have these 2 words, very interesting. Disinterested and uninterested. This makes all the difference. Uninterested, I have nothing to gain for it. Somehow In India we have a saying, "Chalta hai, kar do." Do it somehow, finish it up. No attention to quality or quantity of the work. And the other one is disinterested, means I have no personal angle involved, no axe to grind, no personal motive involved in that. But it means I can do that work. So a spiritual practitioner would do that work for a spiritual goal. No worldly gain to attain from that. I am doing it as a worship of God. I am trying to realize God, I am doing it as a worship of God. Or a person in the path of Jnana Yoga would do it, I am doing it to purify my own mind. That's a goal also. In one sense, that's also a personal goal, but that's not a worldly goal. And that saves you from stress. What we can do in life is moral, and as far as possible, even if we cannot convert all our action into unselfish action. You have jobs, you have families, you have responsibilities. You're studying in college, you have a mortgage to pay off. You say that I will not be unselfish, I'll be unselfish, I will not pay off my mortgage. It's my personal things, I'm not paying it out. You can't do that. But we can have a component of unselfish action. Start. Just start. One young man came to me and said that, oh, I'm going to do this big project for poor kids, and but there are so many problems, Swami, in starting. There are politics involved, and there is a whole legal issue of starting an NGO. Where are grants going to come from? I said, that all comes later. First start doing. Have you started taking care of one kid? No, we don't have the facilities yet. Don't think about it that way. I gave him the example of this young man, brilliant young man, Vinayak. He's in Calcutta. He's a student of IIT Kharagpur and IIM Calcutta, Indian Institute of Management, Calcutta. Brilliant young man. What he decided after graduating from college with a business B school degree and an engineering degree, he decided that he's going to take care of these orphan children. So I asked him once, how did you come to this decision? How did you decide? Actually, some students asked him, how did you decide you're going to do this thing? He said, I didn't decide that. I asked myself, what is it that I don't want to do? I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do with life. So I asked myself, what is it that I don't want to do? Do I want this kind of a job? A multinational corporation like most of my batch friends are going in for. And my heart said no. I've seen that, I'm not interested. So do I want this kind of a job? Academicians, my professors, the way they are, the academic job which I can see in my professors, teachers. My heart said no. And then I saw these children sitting on the pavement outside in Calcutta, the street, in Joka, Diamond Harbour. And I wanted to do something for them. My heart said, yes, I want to do something for them. And then I told this young man, he did not start an NGO, he did not look for government grants, he did not look at the legal angle. He took those kids in front of him. He took them by the hand, he got hold of an apartment which he did not know how he was going to pay for, and he said, from now on, I am your father and mother. And how did you look after them? I used to teach. I have this IIT degree and an IIM degree, so I would coach students, and there was a long line of students for coaching. I would earn enough money to take care of these 3 children. Now he has an institute near Calcutta, it's called Parivar, where he takes care of more than 1,000 orphans. I said, you can't coach kids and get money to look after 1,000 children. How do you do it? He said, now I don't do anything. Now the money comes by itself. People give. I never ask for it. And I've told myself, if people do not give, then I will not do this work. People give and it goes on. Now I told this person, see how it comes. You start with unselfish action and it will go on. Okay. This is level 2. At the level of our action. Moral, and to some extent, somewhere in my life, do I have some kind of unselfish, altruistic, service-oriented activity? It could be within the family also. Hamas called the Secretary General of the United Nations, Dag, I don't know how you pronounce it, Dag Hammarskjöld. In his diaries he writes, as the Secretary General of the United Nations in those days, he writes, I have come to the understanding that it is nobler to love one person truly rather than guide the destiny of nations as a job. He is guiding the destiny of the world as Secretary General of the United Nations. And he says, even better than this, if I can love one person truly also, that's enough. That's better. So in the family also you can be unselfish. You can be giving, caring, sharing, loving. For a deeper, more enlightened selfishness. If you are going to be selfish with a capital S. Swami Brahmananda, Sri Ramakrishna's disciple, the first president of the Ramakrishna order, one devotee came, a gentleman came and said, Swami, you are wonderful. You have given up so much of the world and you are living this austere kind of life and you have given up everything in the world and leading this kind of life. And the Swami said, you are even more wonderful. You have given up God for a piece of glass. You are diamond for a piece of glass. You have given up God for the world. Your sacrifice is much greater than mine. So if you are going to be selfish with a capital S. In addition to this, one more thing I will add here, the law of karma. This merits a new page. So, we are still on level 2. The law of karma, it's good to know this. In Sanskrit, it is called karma vada. What does it mean? Very simple. Good, good. Bad, bad. This is how Swami Vivekananda expresses the law of karma. Good, good, bad, bad, and none escape the law. In his poem, Song of the Sannyasi, whosoever wears a thong wears the chain too. So the chain is this. Basically, this is causality. Cause, effect. Cause, effect. Do good, the understanding is that there will be good results in your life. Do what you know to be bad, be naughty on purpose, the understanding is that there will be bad results in your own life. How far this is true and what are its ramifications, where does it come from? We are not going to go into that. That's not our subject today. You see, in all these self-help sections of bookshops, you will find many books which will teach you how to be happy in 7 days. Crash course in happiness. I don't know if you will be happy at the end of it. It will crash definitely. Now, the ancient law of karma, which is accepted by all Hindus, all Buddhists and all Jains, all Sikhs, all the Indic religions which come from India, and in another form by the Abrahamic religions also, in a different language. Now, what it says is, if you really want to be happy, crash course in happiness, immediate, direct, guaranteed result. If you want to be happy, then you must do good. In Sanskrit, dharma leads to sukha, and adharma leads to dukkha. Sanskrit, dukkha, unhappiness. Sukha, happiness. Keep doing what you know to be good, and good things will happen to you. Keep doing what you know to be on purpose. You know to be bad. You cannot help yourself. You keep doing it. The results will inevitably, in time, they will be bad. So this is another thing to remember. Law of karma is on your side if you do moral and unselfish action. And law of karma is especially powerful if you do unselfish action. I am doing good without any expectation of return. You will get 100-fold return. Don't do it for that purpose, but yes.
Just a quick question. If you are doing good and you have the intention of doing good, but from a other person's point of view, they are thinking that is not good to me. So how do you define? Your intention is good, but it's got some bad outcome.
I will not answer questions like that because these are general questions. Okay. It depends on specific. You have got some specific instance in mind. Let me just answer it in generalities. Yeah. So we will do what we understand to be good, but with great and full respect for the other person. Other person is an autonomous person. It's so difficult to change ourselves. When we find ourselves impossible to change, we take up the project of changing others. I am doing it for his good or her good. Why doesn't he or she listen? Do you listen to yourself? No, I don't. So why should that person listen? So let's have respect for that person. Let's have respect for that person. I will do what's good, I will suggest what's good, but that person may not listen. His or her karma is there, yes.
Can we reserve the questions to the end of your lecture, Swami?
Short questions, I'll give brief answers. The short questions. Yeah. So cause and effect. Law of karma, it also tells us if I do unselfish action and moral action, peace of mind will be a result. Peace of mind is definitely a result. One thing you will notice among those who genuinely work for others, I'm saying genuinely, because many people start working for others. I've seen many NGOs, if there is no spiritual component there, just doing good to others, in many cases, they end up running after honors, awards, press recognition, and then they will go into politics, things like that. If I do it genuinely for a spiritual cause, because my own spiritual evolution depends upon me being unselfish, then you will be genuinely unselfish, and that leads to peace of mind. Let's go deeper. Level 3. How much time do we have? We have 3:10 now. Do we have time? Yeah. Level 3. At the level of emotion. Lack of peace of mind, stress, is first and foremost expressed as a feeling of uneasiness, discomfort, of unpleasantness. So it's at the level of the emotions. At the level of emotions, Vedanta tells us, connect your emotions to God. Let's put it more directly. Love, you direct it to the world or to God. Holy Mother, Ma Sharda used to say, love a human being and you are guaranteed suffering. Love God, you will never suffer. Do not misunderstand. She is not telling us not to love human beings. She is telling us to love the divine in each human being. In fact, you love a person, a human being, most genuinely when? When you love the body? No. When you love the changing person inside. You say, yeah, I love the person, who else do I love? It's a changing personality. You will very soon end up saying that this is not the person I fell in love with. Because that person changes, and that person also was partly a matter of a figment of your imagination. How well do we know a person? We don't even know ourselves properly. So, the real person is the divine within each person. The divine spark within each person, God in each person, is the reality of each person. And if you love God in each person, you are truly loving that person. So Ramakrishna used to say, my nephew, my niece, my grandchild, this is Maya. And everybody is my Gopala, this is Gaya. I see my Lord in all beings, and I love all beings equally. This is spirituality. But I love this person because he is my nephew, I love that person because she is my niece. This is worldliness. Everybody, worldly people also love, everybody loves. But that love can be a source of anxiety and stress to you. That love can be a source of joy and peace to you. And the greatest source of joy and peace is when we divert this love to God. We may see the same world, same action, same person, but we are actually serving God in that action and that person. I have seen I personally have seen this in so many circumstances. Because I live in a monastery and I meet monks, and I've seen monks outside also, monks and nuns, spiritual practitioners who are not monks and nuns. One thing among all of them is a deep, genuine love. And it's not a partial love. They don't limit it to this person or that person. You don't know that person. You come in front of that person, you will feel that love. It radiates out like the sun shining without any kind of discrimination. When I discriminate in love, they are mine, I love them. They are not mine, I do not love them. I am indifferent to them. That's a worldly love. A genuine spiritual love Although that person may say, I love only God, I do not love anybody else, you will find when you go near that person does love you. Truly spiritual persons have this feeling of oneness with others. There is a deep sense of immediate connection. He may not know you, but immediately you feel and that person also feels a connection with you. So, love of God. There is an entire literature here. Literature of Bhakti Yoga in many branches of Vedanta. It's there in dualistic Vedanta. Let me give you one example. Just one example. In the Narada Bhakti Sutras, towards the end, there is one sutra. I'll write it down and then explain. Sarvada Sarvabhavena Nishchintiteihi Bhagavan eva bhajaniya. Beautiful. This is from the Narada Bhakti Sutra. I've forgotten the sutra number. What does it mean? Sarvada, at all times. Sarvabhavena, in all ways. Nishchintitehi, without anxiety, without chinta, without any fear, anxiety. Bhagavan eva, the Lord alone. Bhajaniya is to be adored or worshipped. Adored or worshipped. Sarvada, at all times. Sarvabhavena, in all ways. Nishchintitehi, without any kind of anxiety, fear, stress. Bhagavan eva, the Lord alone, is to be worshipped. Take up this one first, because this is directly connected to our subject. Without any stress. In the explanation I found one, there is a shloka. It goes like this, something like this. Chinta chita eva samakhyata. Chinta chitato api adhika. Chinta chitato api adhika. Chita nirjivam dahati. Chinta Jivitam hi dahyati. It's very simple Sanskrit, some of you can understand. I'll translate. Chinta, anxiety, stress. Chita is the funeral pyre. When a dead body is burnt, the Hindus burn the bodies. So chita, they call it chita. Chita is the fire where you put the dead body and then you burn the body. Stress is called the funeral pyre. Chinta, chita eva samakhyata. And he says, Chinta chitato api adhika. Anxiety or stress is greater than the funeral fire, worse than the funeral fire. Why? The funeral fire burns a dead body. Anxiety burns the living body. Anxiety or stress burns the living body. Stress is called the funeral fire. Stress is worse than the funeral fire. Funeral fire burns a dead body, stress burns the living body. I remember this monk under whom I used to study in Gangotri. I don't know if he's still alive, Lakshman Dasji. Old Swami, Punjabi. He was from pre-partition Pakistan, from that Sindh area actually. He was, I think, Sindhi. After partition, he came straight to the Himalayas and used to live in a cave. When I found him, he was